I guess we can just talk about how the tournament was, right? Like outside of the tournament and like during the tournament. The LAN was like obviously like not what we wanted at all. And we feel like very demoralized because after split one where we got second, specifically me and Sweet got very complacent and we didn't really play in practice, hence why we did bad. Just like, you know, the main reason, right? You don't practice, can't really expect to do very good. But we changed it around completely for champs, which we didn't have the most time to prepare, which we got Shiny. We picked up Shiny to really help us get on track, because there was a lot of people I know saying like we didn't play, like we didn't really like have passion for the game anymore, which was true to an extent. Like 100%, like before, like during split 2 we didn't play very much during the pro league. We didn't really do well in the split 2 pro league. We didn't scrim. We barely played outside of scrims. It was really only guild that was playing. Everyone really knew that. It was just a really complacent way to react after split 1. I don't really know what the plan is either, or like what is gonna happen at all. So why'd you guys get complacent? Well, it's just like that was during the time where like ranked was like brain dead easy and you're just like killing like silvers, right? When I say complacent, it's basically like we did well split 1, we got second and we had like the most points or whatever, and we didn't play or like scrim at all. And then we did the same thing for split 2 and expected the same results. I guess what I wanted to really talk about was the stuff outside of like what everyone else sees, just in general with me, Sweet, and Gil, and like Shiny. The main issue that we were having was Sweet and Gil. Like we were scrimming prior to champs, right? Like every day, and a lot of it was on stream, and we had like Shiny with us, right, for like the first like month, let's say, right? And after like the first month, Shiny, like before we picked him up, he already had like vacation plans and everything, right? And he still, like, even with his vacation plans, right, he still managed to come to champs, even though it was like during his vacation initially that was planned like a long time ago, to come to champs and like be our coach there, right? Be like the pillar, like our support pillar, right? And that week that he went on his vacation before we left the champs was really rough. Like, some of the scrims were streamed, and you guys saw how like hard Sweet is on Guild. He's like unnecessarily like really hard on Guild. He was like literally like tearing into him. Like it was to the point where like I felt like so bad. Like I had to like talk to Guild, and then I talked to Sweet, like, you know, like individually. Basically, like after that week of scrims where Shiny was gone, it was like really bad. Like the 3 weeks and month prior, like we were doing really well in scrims and like everything was looking really good. Like, you know, vibes were good and everything too. But that week that Shiny was gone, it was really bad. Like we were dying in like really dumb ways and like getting really upset. Cause like we're playing in the morning, so like everyone's like waking up, and like not everyone's the happiest when they first wake up in the morning, especially at like 7 a.m. Be the mediator. Well, that's what kind of Shiny is there for, right? So we got Shiny because we wanted him to focus on like the mistakes, so Sweet didn't have to. Shiny would be like, if we've made a mistake or something, that like he would be the one telling us, because the way that Shiny approaches that kind of stuff is like way better and like easier for like some people, you know, because not everyone can handle the like, you know, being yelled at, like how like Zero or Hal or Sweet does it, right? It's a much easier way of an approach, and Gil definitely appreciated that approach more than the way Sweet did. So the week that Shiny was gone, it was like there was really no one else to do it but Sweet, I guess. So it was rough. Prior to LAN and everything, me and Shiny really tried to like tell Sweet to like hold back a little bit, you know, like don't be so hard on him, because the reason why is like we think that, like, you know, it's like some people take it like differently, you know, like some people can be yelled at like that and still play to their like best. Like some people need that, like, you know, like lock the fuck in type shit, right, to really like lock in, right? But for Guild, we thought it was the complete opposite. So the way that Sweet was approaching him was affecting his play like a lot. And then when I was talking to Guild and I I asked him, I'm like, is the way that, you know, Sweet is talking to you, is it affecting your play? And he was like, yeah, it like, he like said that basically like it was like messing with his like confidence, and like he was like doing like really bad walls, because that's what, like pretty much like the root of it was because of like how he was using his wall. So since that was the case, we talked to Sui and we were like, yo, like try and hold back a little bit, like just like if he fucks up, he fucks up, like it happens. I mean, after looking back at our games, we all talked about it briefly, and we're like, I at least this is what I said. I basically said that like comparing our games to TSM's games, right? Like you could say like their 3 back-to-back wins, like their Skyhook win, that was like, you know, like a really hard game to win. They won it, like, you know, like props, like that's a really hard game to win. But you could say like, oh, like the second game they got gifted their wall zone, you know. But even though they get gifted their zone, it's still hard to like, you know, win the game. Like even though they get a gifted free zone, they play the same building every time, but they play it like perfectly without making mistakes, so they still win the game regardless if they get a zone or not. They're playing their native zones correctly and taking advantage of them, and like winning the native zones that they're given. So basically they're doing good on the games they should, and the games that they do bad, it's kind of like neutralized because they're doing well on the games that they do like they're supposed to do good. But for us, for example, like I would say we got like some decent zones, and I said that if TSM was put in our shoes in the same exact like spots that we were playing same loot and everything, like I still think that they would have been able to win, because I think we had the potential to win that tournament played properly, but we didn't play it how like correctly, so it didn't go the way we wanted it to. Tag team split. You think Guild is a little? Yeah, there's a. I think it's because, you know, just bad vibes prior to the tournament, and then going into it, you know, like getting ripped into, like you don't really want to be like, I guess, around that shit. So like he wasn't in comparison to the lands that we played prior. Like us as a team, we didn't really hang out as much as we usually did before, which is like obviously like different, right? Now that I'm like looking back on it, we didn't really hang out as like a team as much as like we were before. It was just like, you know, Guild's hanging out with his girlfriend, Sweet's hanging out with Nikki afterwards. We had dinner once, but that was it. You know, being there for a week, we only had dinner once. It's just really like a bad space for our team to be right now. It was basically just me, Shiny, chilling. Yeah, I think that was like the main root of like our problems. I don't really know what to sum it up to be, because I don't even know what is gonna happen. So since mostly everyone that wants to know is already here, I do still want to play. I'm not done. I think it would just be like, it would just be really sucky to stop playing before I really got like a win, I guess. Oh man, really trying not to right now. But that's the thing. I don't know, like I don't know, like if I'm still gonna be playing with NRG. That's like the big question mark, because I don't know what everyone wants to do. It's like the shit is still like super fresh, and I don't really know what we're gonna do. To put it into perspective, I think my guess, being like as like open about it as I can, is that I don't think that I just don't think Sweet and Guild is gonna be a thing. Whether it's gonna be Guild joining a different team or Sweet joining a different team, it's just not healthy. Like the best way to put it is it's gone to the point where it was like kind of like the same of how it was like with Rocker, where once you really just like lose that respect for your teammates, it's kind of hard to get it back, and then it's like pretty much just chalk from then. Yeah, I think Sweet is hard on Guild because he knows how. We all know Guild is like very good. He's just like, I think he's just like mentally like stopped at like a huge brick wall. That's Sweet. But you know, some things, like some people just don't like mesh well together and like aren't compatible, I guess. Like me and Shiny talked about it, and we were like, we think that Guild is afraid to really take initiative, you know, because he's scared to fuck up and get yelled at, basically. Like we don't know if we're all gonna go our separate ways and find new teams or make new teams, or if there's gonna be NRG, or I don't know. I really don't. The one thing I do want to say though is that I talked to Jordan about this reps because he was in a similar spot. Like I pretty much just asked him about it, about like his thoughts and everything, and he basically said like the same thing that I was thinking. Given the choice to play with any different players, like pick out any other people that I would play with, no one comes to mind like right away for me. That was like the kind of similar because like Jordan said the same thing. Like he probably wouldn't be playing either if he didn't play it with like Hal and Evan. And I kind of like felt that because I felt like the same way about it because like given the option to play with any two other players, I don't really have like people that come to mind right away. Sweet said he's never separating from you as a duo. Yeah, well, I don't know. We both said that at one point, but if we both still want to play and we think it's best to like to find or start something different, then that's just how it's gonna be, unfortunately. But the reason why I didn't know after the tournament if I still wanted to play is because if I did have to end up finding a new team, like I don't know who would want to like pick me up as a player because like controller is just so much more valued in general. It's like so hard to keep up with controller, bro. It's actually so hard. You guys think you need more time together playing with a coach? Yes, but I don't. I think the problems that we have are inevitable for the future. I don't know if we're splitting. It's. I think we're talking about it tomorrow with Jamie, our manager. So we'll see what happens. I have no idea. Cause preferably, I wish me, Guild, and Sweet could play it through. Cause I do think we'd have like what it takes. We just like need to put the pieces together. Announcement tomorrow. This take a while. Well, it's just a talk tomorrow about champs, I guess. To be honest, I don't. Emotions are still pretty high, so I don't think anything is really gonna be said like officially anytime soon.